Hi, today I'm going to try and fix an Audi that won't start. Intermittently it won't start. Sometimes it does it when it's cold, sometimes it's when it's hot. Sometimes it'll start but it'll run really badly and have no power. It's a diesel, so the first thing I'm going to check is that the injectors are getting a signal at the injectors. These are piezo injectors, so I'm going to use a current clamp and see that I'm getting control at the injectors. If I get control, then I know it's got a cam and crank signal to send it the signal for the injectors. So if that checks out okay, I'll check the fuel pressure secondly. Checking a diesel injector here. This is the diesel waveform that I should have in this book. A2B, I've got the exact same waveform that it's shown I should have. Just coupling it up to this. 1 millivolt is 10 milliamps. Okay, the pattern on all the injectors looked fine. They were all the same, and all the same as what the textbook that I got shows you it should look like. I would recommend somebody buying that book if you're into scope patterns and diagnostics. It's brilliant. So the next thing I did was checked the resistance in the injectors. All the injectors were 180 kiloohms across the 2 pins in the diesel injectors. This is a quick drawing that I've made, and it just shows you what I've been doing on the car. So here we've got the common rail. High pressure pipe comes into it at the top, and the injectors are all connected off the high pressure pipes at the bottom. That's just part of the injector with the leak off pipes. But I've also done a leak off test on this car. But the resistance here is when I get my multimeter and I put one of the leads to here. These are the pins, electric pins in the injector. So I would run the 2 leads there and put it into my multimeter on resistance, and I would see what it is, and they were all 180 kiloohms. But also what I've done to make sure that I've not got a faulty injector is removed one of these leads from the pins and put it to the body of the injector, because if you have any resistance there, it's also, the injector's no good as well, and that can sometimes stop the car from even starting. Also, I did a leak-off test. Cylinders 1 and 2 were pumping out twice as much fuel as cylinders 3 and 4. But the car ran, and it took a while to get it running. And when it started, it had a sound like when you try to get a diesel going with easy start. It didn't sound too healthy, but eventually it ran. Until I switched it off when it got hot. After I switched it off, I went to try it again, and the thing wouldn't start. I've gone out and I've checked the injector waveform again, and I've still got the injector waveform. Now I've switched it off, and the car won't start. I'm going to try and crank it. So we've still got a signal, but it's not starting. And I've still got the injector waveform, so I did a quick check to see what the fuel rail pressure was, and there was enough fuel rail pressure going by the voltage at the fuel rail pressure sensor that it should be starting. Still got 1 volt at the fuel pressure regulator at this side, so it's holding pressure. Okay, when you're looking at the pressure sensor and you want to get the readings here, you probably have 5 volts, a ground at 0 volts, and a signal. Signal is not always in the middle, but when you back probe you could figure out which one's which. And the range on the pressure sensor with the ignition on will be between 0.5 volts, and that would be equal to 0 bar of pressure in the rail, to 4.5 volts, and that would be equal to 1600 bar of pressure in the rail. And what you'll find is 0.5 is 0 bar, so after 0.5, every 0.2 volts is 100 bar. So for example, if that only read 0.7 volts, it's got the 0.2 more, so it's 100 bar of pressure in the rail. If it was 0.5, it would be 0 pressure in the rail. Anyway, you just add them up and see, it gives you a rough idea of the pressure in the system based on the voltage that's been put out at the sensor. I find that helps me a little bit anyway. Okay, the last test I did, I went in and I removed the top on the fuel filter, and I had a look inside for anything contamination. It was actually all clean, but the problem was it was stinking of petrol. So the fault with this car was actually somebody's put the wrong fuel in it, and that's why it wouldn't go. But although they tried to fill it up again with diesel on top of it, but petrol's in the system, so it's going to have to be drained. But that's all it was in this case. It was petrol in the diesel engine. I'm probably going to have to definitely drain it. The oil level's too high now, so I'm going to drain the oil and engine oil, not oil filter. Certainly change the fuel filter. I think the injectors, with 2 of them pumping out twice as much leak off as the other 2, it's probably needing injectors as well. So it's a costly mistake. Anyway, I don't know what the customer's going to do. Thanks for watching.